Marilize Putter and I am representing Milpark Education. We are based in Cape Town, South Africa. At Milpark Education, we are primarily providing our education through an online mode of delivery, but we have a very strong focus on creating communities with our students, providing psychosocial support. So it is very much different from just sitting at home on your own, and we are really trying to bridge that gap. So if I can just give you some background in terms of our different schools that we offer. We have 4 schools, the Milpark Business School, we have a Milpark School of Commerce, and then we also have 2 specialization areas with the School of Professional Accounting and also the School of Financial Services. We are also very proud that we are at this stage the biggest pipeline in South Africa for chartered accountants. And so for a private institution, that really makes us proud of what we are achieving at this stage. We believe that we are asynchronous first and that we are using the technical in order to build, let's call it the human skills, or then some people call it the soft skills, and then also to build critical thinking through it. So we do not facilitate in our online lecture halls, if I can call it like that. We do not facilitate technical content. That's not our focus. But what we want to do is to roll out content in blocks for our students, give them the opportunity to first engage with the content in an asynchronous way. And then when we have synchronous moments, then we attempt to go into deliberative discussions around important aspects. And through that, we create an understanding, of course, of the South African context. It's very important for us that we are able to see the world through the lenses of other people. And it's only when we start in conversation with one another about difficult conversations that we are able to also look at the world through other people's eyes. And that is what we use our synchronous moments for. We have a learning, innovation and development team who owns the philosophy, our learning and teaching philosophy and our thinking. They do use in limited instances curated content. What we have found is that it's sometimes tricky for our South African students to really relate to what is often the international content that is available. So for them to convert something back that is positioned in dollar or in pounds and knowing what the exchange rate is becomes very difficult. And it also becomes quite tough if you're trying to motivate to students that we are trying to solve South African challenges, but then the content that we provide is actually coming from the global north. So what we have decided is that our learning, innovation, development team partners very closely with our lecturers in order to think through what are we trying to achieve with this program, thinking through what's our graduate attributes, what's the program attributes, and then what we are trying to do in terms of rolling it out. And then we set it up, basically breaking it down into the blocks, embedding the synchronous moments, and then also thinking through what is the actual psychosocial support that we wrap around every program based on the needs of the students, of course, on a specific program. What we have done this year is we have shifted the focus of our MBA, if I can talk about that specifically, towards creating a better cohort experience. So the MBA is currently our only program where we have made the conscious decision to, at the start of a cohort, we bring the class together in Cape Town for 3 days where they get to know one another, they are placed in their different teams. For all of our other programs, and then of course for the MBA as well, after that initial in-person event, we facilitate everything synchronous or asynchronous. They can study from anywhere. We also design our synchronous moments so that the students who are not necessarily able to join the sessions in that moment in time, that they can maybe watch it in their own time and then also engage afterwards, because we do recognize that students also learn by watching other students to learn. So we not necessarily feel that if I need to now, let's say it's month end and I'm working in an accounting firm or something, an accounting department, and I need to help the team to finish off and I need to work and I cannot attend the live session, that I'm able to watch it asynchronously and I can still learn through other people learn. And that's of course where the accreditation guidelines allow for us to do something like that. I think we have carefully thought about how we construct it, whilst recognizing that the majority of our students on the MBA program will have to juggle demanding jobs, their families, very often what the community demands of them and their contribution there, with also their studies. So that's on the one hand. On the other hand, we recognize that there is an element where students also learn through those moments where it's maybe a little bit tense, a little bit hard. And some people find it harder than others in those moments. Learning is hard because if it's not hard, then it means that we didn't really embrace it and worked with it. And so what we've said is that it is going to be hard. We try and be intentional in the design, but we want to wrap around it. So what we've done, for example, is in the first 6 months of the program, we have assigned a coach to each individual student. And we support the students through almost adapting to the program, their personal development, during the program, how to adapt to working in groups, for example. So very specific focus with the coaches. And then we are moving over into what we refer to as student support and wellness advisors, which we will bring in from time to time to engage with the students, to help them also to engage with that. Then we also have an online platform where we provide psychosocial support to our students. I think it's one of the challenges being in private higher education in South Africa. So you do have to try and balance it out, where we strongly believe that from what we refer to as our academically insecure students. So that means that we come from different backgrounds, we come from different academic institutions, and often there is just not necessarily the belief in the students that they can do this, that they can achieve it, that they can adapt to this. And so we have a very strong focus in order to think through how do we actually support our students to be there, where the human element of it is elevated to the extent that they can believe that they can do it and that they stay motivated. Then there is, of course, the other side, and that is the financial concern, and how do I actually afford it? And the way in which we have thought about it is that we have the choice, we made the conscious choice, not to take our students out of the workplace for a year, where they still need to provide for their families, they still need to pay rent, etc., and then only focus on their studies. And we have decided that we would rather intentionally construct our programs so that they are able to still work. We are trying to be flexible in accommodating them for work. It may take them longer, but we've thought about the economic cost model and the trade-off between the value of doing it like this versus, you know, just many MBA programs, you need to resign your work, and that's just not an option in the South African market for most of our students. So that's how we try to be accommodative. We've reimagined our MBA and what we're trying to do with our MBA, and we decided that we want to have a very strong focus on building leadership and focusing on leadership attributes that we believe will help solve problems that are very unique to South Africa and then the African continent. So we have thought about these leadership attributes, and we've built them intentionally into all of our modules. So starting from the very first one, and then it is still in the development phase, but we are busy developing a model where we would then end up being able to assess it. But you are right, it is pervasive. And so it's not, whilst we can be very intentional in how we embed it into our learning and teaching, it's implicitly in running through the content, that we are then able to measure it and get feedback. It will be qualitative though. So I think what is more important for us is to recognize that impact can be determined by where our students are placed in the workplace, but I think impacts are often not so much connected to your role or your salary, but for us it's also around the impact in terms of the community, because that's also one of our focus areas in terms of our strategy, is that we want to better it actually for the whole of South Africa, and that is what we will try and work towards, but it's a difficult question. So what we have recognized is that there are unique industry aspects that we want our schools to be able to focus on and to be able to recognize. So it is for us very important that, let's take the professional accounting space or the financial services sector as an example, that there are uniquenesses which practitioners coming from those industries bring. And if we can then combine almost the academic, the theory, the learning and teaching philosophy with their practitioner background, it is going to provide our students with a much richer experience going back into the workplace. And therefore, because of the professional industry body relationships that we have decided to focus it into those two specific schools, professional accounting and then financial services industry. Our School of Commerce at this stage has a very strong focus on undergraduate programs, and it's moving into focusing on digital transformation much more so. And then we have the business school, of course, taking our postgraduate programs forward up to a DBA.